All right, again, welcome to the overview webinar for the 26-28 Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment. Hopefully you can see the PowerPoint on the screen. I do ask that your microphones remain muted throughout the presentation. This presentation is being recorded. This will be posted for reference within the needs assessment and GEMS itself. Please be sure to write all questions in the chat to be answered later. These questions will also form the basis of the frequently asked questions document, which will be updated throughout the process and also linked directly.
I'll do that right now.
Thank you. I probably won't get to it for a couple of days.
Please do make sure you're muted. Thank you. These questions will also form the basis of the frequently asked questions document, which will be updated throughout the process and also linked directly in GEMS for future reference. In addition to help materials being available in GEMS, the portal itself, the CLNA webpage also contains helpful reference materials. I will be sending an email to today's attendees with several items discussed today, including that link to the CLNA webpage with updated materials to get you started. Again, as previously noted, this second webinar will be recorded, and it may take up to 2 weeks to complete the review and posting process. The Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment is the driver for all Perkins-funded applications and activities, and subsequently budget items. It provides direction to those activities and budget items. Since this is the cornerstone of all Perkins activities and spending, field representation and voice is critical to the review and revision process. Many thanks to those CPID administrators who made the time to provide feedback. Their involvement was truly extremely valuable. What you see on the screen are the facts, the law, policies, processes, etc. that underline the CLNA. The more important part, not up there, is that the CLNA is a springboard for dialogue and improvement. It's not a checkbox document just to be a document and demonstrate compliance with the law. It lives beyond the document in the minds and attention of the stakeholders, all those people who want to improve outcomes for students. It's a tool to gather those thoughts and direction, then move forward in that direction with solidly aligned vision and plans. But just like any other tool, it must be used as needed. Its purpose to drive improvement, to maximize positive impact for our youth. You will hear this theme several times. It is a tool for discovery and dialogue. There are not quote unquote right nor quote unquote wrong answers. There is merely what surfaces, what stakeholders note and want to improve based on what they see. It is a requirement to engage in and complete the needs assessment process, not to get a quote unquote right answer, just the best ideas at the time. This document provides guidance for conducting a rigorous CLNA that meets Perkins 5 requirements. The CLNA provides a structure to ensure that the CLNA is not an exercise in compliance, but a valuable tool for program improvement, founded on meaningful, regular, data-driven consultation with stakeholders that drive program equity and quality. This document is posted within the CLNA and GEMS for anyone to reference in there and also posted on that webpage mentioned previously. The Appendix A, B, and C provide definitions to assist educators in understanding the context of the CLNA questions, a list of data resources, and the Perkins 5 legislation. This document is also posted within the assessment in GEMS for anyone to reference while navigating within the assessment. We will look at some suggestions or tips for you to consider while planning for completion of this assessment. Though a guiding leadership team with fewer individuals may be assembled to assist in the planning, process to complete the CLNA, or involved in conducting individual workshops and stakeholder meetings, it is important, in fact, it is required, that the process includes consultation with and inclusion of these identified stakeholders. So there is a distinction between leadership team for the CLNA and participants within the CLNA who are consulted and participating within the process. Bringing together the stakeholders has several advantages. One, to reduce stress, maximize time and resources, create stronger connections between stakeholders, connect to new stakeholders. Those are all positive aspects of hosting workshops and working together rather than in isolation at various levels and/or across entities. Though each region can set their own timeline, suggestions for pacing the milestones are on the screen. The only date not subject to regional decisions and timelines are those on the October end regarding the due date of April 1. Oh, sorry, the OCTE end regarding the due date of April 1. As previously mentioned, it is a requirement written into the legislation that the region and the regional participants engage in the process and complete a comprehensive local needs assessment every 2 years. As with many legislatively required components, refusal to comply with the legislation which generates the funding results in not receiving funding or the benefits of funding. If you had engaged in the 24-26 needs assessment process, you will note a few minor enhancements. There are no major changes, but small differences designed to clarify, streamline, or otherwise fix some areas that needed it. Some of those necessary items were data references in Section 1, the ability to download the assessment, grammar and punctuation throughout. As a general reminder, these are ultimately public documents, so responses contained within should be clear as well as grammatically correct and reflective of the respondent's professionalism. We will spend some time on the contents of each section. Please remember, with multiple platforms displaying data, there may be times within this process that the numbers do not match exactly. One, there is a year of lag between ESSA overall accountability data and core performance indicator data, which is our CTE accountability data. Also, there are appeals windows, audits, and other events which impact these large data sets that can result in values which do not exactly match, even though one thinks they should. Perkins 5 Core Performance Indicator data is imported from the Career and Technical Information System, CETIS. There may be some locally collected data you wish to include in the process, but please do be sure that it is informing your career programs focused on state-approved CTE programs only. Use data from school years listed within the question and data notes leading into the question in the portal. To support efficiency, the same video aids are linked within each section. Any deviations from the guidance within the videos will be reflected in the notes for each section. The information is correct. The notes only update years and/or persons to contact, which may now be different than when the video was recorded. Perkins Core Performance Indicator data and Every Student Succeeds Act ESSA alignment. As a reminder, the academic indicators must be the same for Perkins as they are for the state's submitted ESSA plan. This means the assessments selected for ESSA accountability by the state of Michigan are the assessments we must use for Perkins accountability. Section 2 focuses on the labor market, which career programs are in demand in a given geographic area. How does that inform decisions regarding beginning or ending state-approved programs? And how does that impact activities and budget within the region? Those are the key guiding questions behind the review of data and stakeholder dialogue within Section 2. Similarly, Section 3 dives into student demand as opposed to demands within the labor market. How does student interest and needs shape decision-making? Section 3 of the Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment requires staff to analyze program application and enrollment data for trends and to evaluate each program with respect to the critical components of a high-quality CTE program of study. The law requires CTE programs, operating agencies, CPIDs, and regions to assess whether a sufficient number of courses and programs are being offered to meet the needs of the student population, whether those programs are sufficiently broad as well as vertically aligned and linked to the next level of education, and how the quality of program delivery serves to develop student knowledge and skills and prepare them for related employment or continuing education. Section 4 focuses on the implementation of programs of study. Stakeholders discuss whether there are aspects of their programs of study which have barriers to greater implementation or that need improvement. The dialogue among the stakeholders about those programs of study add another layer to the needs assessment. Stakeholders may discuss the degree to which their programs of study incorporate challenging state academic standards, including those adopted by a state under Section 111(b)(1) of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, address both academic and technical knowledge and skills, including employability skills, are aligned with the needs of the industries in the economy of the state, region, tribal community, or local area, progress in specificity, beginning with all aspects of an industry or career cluster and leading to more occupation-specific instruction. Have multiple entry and exit points that incorporate credentialing and culminate in the attainment of a recognized post-secondary credential.
Did it.
I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
Section 5 has stakeholders reviewing and dialoguing about data related to recruitment, retention, and training of teachers and paraprofessionals. What are the needs relative to that in order to strengthen programming and support improving outcomes for our students? How will those needs be addressed? How do needs translate into activities and budget items? Remember, the needs assessment process unearths needs, which become activities and potentially budget items within the application. This assessment, the sections, the dialogue, feeds the application and budget. Stakeholder dialogue regarding equity and access for special populations is the focus of Section 6. There is a distinct focus within the Perkins legislation on special populations and access to career programs. Students in special populations must have equitable access to all career technical education programs, yes, but even more, may require supports that reflect their unique circumstances. Those supports should be considered within the needs assessment process as well and inform activities and budget items which provide for those unique needs, which address barriers for certain special population members. A bit of a high-level view of the process is up next. The Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment is accessed through the GEMS portal for career and technical education. There are 3 levels of stakeholder participants responsible for completing and contributing to this process. Region and CPID administrators access the 24-26 CLNA through their previously established credentials to the portal. It is one application contained within the portal, so access is similar for other applications or items contained in the portal, like the SIP self-review. For operating agency users, of which there may be many, we have established a new direct link process, so CPID level administrators do not have to specifically grant access after operating agency users navigate the request to access process. Each region will receive direct links for all OA users and distribute them to the individuals who need access to a given operating agency's needs assessment. Each operating agency has a unique link directly to its CLNA. So, in general, the operating agency completes their part of the CLNA, then submits the CLNA. It then is possible for the CPID director to review and to complete the CPID level needs assessment, and similarly submit to the region, with the final steps being regional review and completion of the CLNA for the entire region. Remember, it is ultimately a regional comprehensive local needs assessment, as it is a regional application for funds full of regional activities and a regional budget. Graphically this time, the OA submits, the CPID submits, then the region submits. One cannot line jump ahead of the submission order. If you have an operating agency who has not submitted their CLNA, you can ask your superintendent for assistance, but not all CPIDs are allowed to talk to superintendents. So please follow your local communications process to ensure completion at all levels according to the regional timeline. Please remember to leave yourself enough time to review, potentially return for revisions, and then complete each level prior to the regional deadline of April 1. As previously mentioned, access for the OAs this year is by direct link, which can be copied into a browser. The OA's needs assessment will pop up with that OA's direct link. Once OAs are complete, then it goes to the CPID to complete their section. Lastly, the region will complete the regional version of the CLNA. Again, please be sure to establish a timeline which allows each successive level enough time to complete and submit, such that the region will have enough time on the last level to complete and submit. Remember, not only complete and submit the needs assessment, but use the information and complete and submit the regional application for funds accordingly. As stated earlier, staff will be looking only for process and completeness. Is it complete? Were there conclusions made? For the application, do the application activities and budget align with any of those conclusions, discoveries, or trends outlined in the CLNA? We are not getting into the weeds of your data with you as part of reviewing the biennial CLNA, but if you need additional support with the process, we are here. We wish it to be regionally meaningful and guide your improvement efforts. What needs attention for students to achieve improved outcomes? What attention does it need? The CLNA looks very much like the last version if you had experience with that. If not, this may be the first time you get to see what that looks like. When the operating agency copies the direct link, all they see is the row with the operating agency. The region will see all the operating agencies, the CPIDs, and the region listed as rows in a similar table. The table's columns are sections of the CLNA to be completed. The first column after organizational name says zip codes. The operating agencies will need to select all their zip codes. By selecting a zip code, It feeds the information to CPID, then it pulls to regional level. If operating agencies do not select their zip codes ahead of time, the selection menus within each section will not populate. This may lead to confusion when a respondent goes to answer and sees that they cannot select the zip codes as a response to the question. If they are not seeing those zip codes populate or some are missing, it is likely because they did not select all of their codes at the outset of the process. Note, if the teachers do make a mistake and didn't hit one of their zip codes, this wouldn't hold things up. It only impacts their ability to check that box in a subsequent question. So they may not even notice if they have missed one. If it wasn't one they wouldn't be using in response to a question, they wouldn't necessarily be aware of that. If they did miss a code, the CPIDs and regions would still be able to select it and continue with the process. This is how each section of the CLNA appears with an introductory page. Recall I mentioned we did link the introductory videos for each section that may reference different years or points of contact within the video. Notes regarding that will appear here. So it may say, please note, add 2 years to all years referenced within the help video, or please note the contact person has changed to the ones listed above. This is how each section of the CLNA appears with data statement and analysis questions. A quick word about answering and navigating the questions in Section 1. The top ribbon in Section 1 will be the first question, which is population-based. The navigation bar at the at the left lists the CPIs. It is suggested to select a CPI like 1S1, then run through the questions at the top ribbon. This way, respondents are focused on the core performance indicator first, then gain information about that indicator overall, then the comparisons of various demographic groups within that indicator. When all of those questions at the top have been answered for 1S1, then move to 2S1, and so on through the CPI list. Though it is possible to move in either direction, since the application is fed by activities which correspond to a given CPI, the entire view of the CPI across all demographic groups may make for a more efficient process to focus an activity for any given CPI. We are just about to the end of the slideshow. Just a word about tech support. There are technical issues and there is technical assistance. Issues with the technology, meaning technical issues, should be emailed to GEMS at the address shown. Please do CC Jim and Christine as shown so they can stay in the loop regarding issues with the technology platform itself. For other issues, there are section leads for each section. If you need further discussion or clarification regarding items in a section, please email the section expert with a CC to the region's MDE OCTE Perkins 5 team leader. As a reminder, first operating agency questions should go to CPIDs, then CPID questions should go to regions, so it should be regions who are reaching out. As previously mentioned, since this is a regional process, having regional interpretation and guidance first is necessary to maintain a robust process implemented with fidelity across the region and not interpreted one way in one OA and another way somewhere else. So please do stick to the leveled structure to get most information out of the process and the best decision making for the region. As always, team leaders are also here to assist. Here are the OCTE team leader information for the regions if you have additional questions. If, when you reflect upon this overview and have additional questions, there are 2 drop-in sessions scheduled, which are also directly linked in the CLNA memo. Please feel free to drop in and ask any questions. It's a good opportunity to gain further clarity and learn more both from others within the field who may be attending, as well as OCTE staff. Again, as well, your questions that have been dropped into the chat are feeding the frequently asked questions document, which will also be published. So I'd like to thank you, and remember, this webinar will be posted for future review within 2 weeks' time, directly within the CLNA, located within the GEMS CTE portal. With just 2 questions in the chat, I might be able to answer those very quickly. The regional administrators, I am checking on the OA links as we speak or as soon as we hang up, and I will have an update to you soon. Will the slideshow be made? Absolutely. The recording is going to happen, as I said, and will be available. Thank you all. Have a great day